I was brought to my attention that we have a boy or boys using the girls' bathroom at Rock Hill High School. These 13, 14, 15-year-old girls do not feel safe and secure in that bathroom. I've talked to their parents and it's upsetting and it's just not right. This is my response. It's sad that we have to make a policy regulating this. This is policy JBAC, potential policy JBAC, students' physical privacy. The Rock Hill School Board of Trustees believes that all students should feel safe and secure in their learning environment. Every restroom and changing facility accessible by multiple persons at the same time must be designated for use only by members of one sex. Any restrooms and changing facilities that are designated for one sex must be used only by members of that sex. A person may not enter a restroom or changing facility that is designated for one sex unless he or she is a member of that sex. During any public school authorized activity or event where students share overnight lodging, a student may not share a bedroom or multi-occupancy restroom with a member of the opposite sex unless such persons are members of the same family, such as a parent, guardian, sibling, or grandparent. In any other facility or setting where a person may be in a state of undress in the presence of others, school personnel shall provide separate private areas designated for use by persons based on their sex. And a person may not enter these private areas unless he or she is a member of the designated sex. This policy does not apply to a person who enters a restroom or changing facility designated for the opposite sex. A, for custodial or maintenance purposes when a member of the opposite sex does not occupy the restroom or changing facility. B, to render medical assistance. Or C, during a natural disaster, emergency, or when necessary to prevent a serious threat to good order or student safety. Nothing in this policy may be construed to prohibit schools from adopting policies necessary to accommodate disabled persons or young children in need of physical assistance when using restrooms or changing facilities. Students who for any reason are unwilling or unable to use a facility described may submit a written request to the principal of the school for access to alternative facilities. The principal shall evaluate these requests on a case-by-case basis. It shall offer to the extent reasonable options for alternate facilities, which may include but not be limited to access to a single user restroom or controlled use of an employee restroom, locker room, or shower. The accommodation may not be accessible to a facility designated for use by members of the opposite sex while persons of the opposite sex are present or could be present. For purposes of this policy, the terms are defined as follows. 1, changing facility means a facility in which a person may be in a state of undress in the presence of others, including a locker room, changing room, or shower room. Restroom means a facility where with one or more toilets or urinals, and sex means a person's biological sex as listed on the person's birth certificate. It's sad that we have to do this. I think it's important that we get in front of this. We take care of it now. I am not going to sit here and wait for a girl to be assaulted in any way. Bathrooms are scary enough in high school, and we need to protect these girls, and we are going to protect the girls. So I think what I want to do is we can look at this, we can work it. I think we should talk to our lawyers about it. And we should send it to the Attorney General's office and potentially get an Attorney General's opinion on it. This is not something that we need to enact today or necessarily next month, but we need to be working on it. We need to get ahead of it.
Comments, discussion?
Mr. Nosal, I appreciate your hard work on this. I'm a father of 3 daughters in Rock Hill schools. You'll have my support.
Mr. McCollum?
I agree. I think this is a safety issue, first and foremost, and I'll support you 100%.
Bathrooms should be a safe space for everyone. We want to consider the rights of every individual, so giving alternative spaces for someone who does not feel comfortable going into their designated bathroom is very important. High school is a time when kids are very insecure about their bodies. They have difficulty being in locker rooms and things, even with, might be their best friend.
Girls should not be avoiding drinking water during the day and having to, rush home to go. They should be able to go into the bathroom and not be boys in the bathroom. And it's sad that we have to do this, but it's the right thing. And if somebody out there thinks that it's not the right thing, my email address is on the website.
Next up, Dr. Martha Edwards.
Good evening. I requested to speak tonight to provide another perspective to the policy proposal by Mr. Nosal at the last school board meeting. At that meeting, he brought up concerns about a transgender girl using the girls' bathroom at Rock Hill High and the distress that it was causing for some other students at the school. I know that all of you are serving on this board for the same reason that I decided to become a pediatrician, and that is that we all care deeply about children. I currently serve on the South Carolina State Suicide Prevention Task Force, and I also work on the York County Mental Health Task Force, focusing on suicide prevention there as well. As a member of both of these task forces, I can tell you that we know that students in our LGBTQ community have the highest rates of attempts and very high rates of completed suicide. In my many years of practice at Rock Hill Pediatrics, I've walked difficult journeys with many, many patients who are struggling with difficult problems such as depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and yes, even gender dysphoria. I'd like to share a little bit about the challenges I've seen in my office in my 30-year career, 25 of those spent at Rock Hill. I've cared for children and their families for suicide attempts, severe depression and anxiety, which we know, again, those rates are higher in LGBTQ kids who identify that way. I've cared for children who are homeless, some with special needs, who attend this school district. I've cared for hungry children who often come to my office every visit asking for a snack. I've definitely seen kids who are afraid to go into the bathrooms at school, but those were due to the drugs being sold there, fights causing severe concussions, or vaping in the stalls. I've seen kids abused and groomed by relatives and pastors, sometimes for years. I've seen LGBTQ kids who are terrified to come out to their community at large, even when they're fully supported by their parents and by their friends. I had a 12-year-old last fall, a biological boy, who told me that her parents used she, her pronouns at home, and then this child went on to say, but I don't feel safe doing that at school. I don't feel safe being myself there. I also wanted to share what I have not seen. I have never had kids who came to see me for an urgent visit who were terrified to wash their hands alongside a transgender girl in the bathroom. In fact, I've never had an encounter with any child who came in due to being harmed by a transgender person, ever. I think we all agree we don't want any student to feel unsafe at our schools, but we may not be able to avoid having some people feel uncomfortable from time to time. We know that students can't learn when they feel unsafe. Their brains can't process that information, their cortex shuts down. On the other hand, learning is sometimes best accomplished when we all feel a little bit uncomfortable and when we feel compelled to seek out different perspectives. I think our shared goal is to minimize harm to all students. Teachers and school administrators seek to do this every single day. I do not know the students affected, but based on my experience following students who have struggled with questions about gender, and based on my experience seeing their families advocate for them and for their well-being over the years, I would venture to say that the transgender student who requested this accommodation had also felt unsafe in bathrooms, possibly felt very afraid in bathrooms, perhaps for many years. And I think the option of using a unisex bathroom is a good one. However, again, singling that person out and having them sometimes go way out of their way, those bathrooms sometimes are not accessible. I've been in the high schools. They're not that accessible to students during the day. Again, not knowing the people involved, but based on my experience in my practice with families I do know well, kids with special needs or who have been struggling in some way often have a very difficult time asking for what they need and advocating for themselves, even with the support of their parents. It's hard to go to an administrator's office and ask for an accommodation like this one. So I suspect this request most likely came from a place of extreme bravery and even extreme desperation to get help feeling comfortable and safe as they go about their day. As a friend of mine and the mother of a transgender girl said to me when I told her I was considering coming to speak tonight, she said, "I suspect that student just wanted a safe place to pee." Another parent of a transgender girl recently testified before our legislature, and she said the following: "I ask you as parents, think of your child as they're sitting there asking for help, and you can't give it to them. I'm really hoping you'll think hard about this and the lives this really does impact. Because as parents, we don't choose this journey for her. Oh my goodness, this is a painful journey." That was Rebecca Bell. And so I just want to urge you, in order to avoid singling out and causing harm to a small population of students who are already significantly struggling, I think it's best that we trust the administrators and teachers that we've hired to serve all our students, and trust parents to do what's right to try to help their children. That's all. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards, or Dr. Edwards. Dr. Edwards. Do you have some questions for Dr. Edwards?
Dr. Edwards, are you advocating for males going into female restrooms?
So these are I don't know if you've ever been in a female restroom, but
I've not.
okay, so there you could come. I'll go with you right now.
I'm just asking you, are you advocating for males to
I
go
am. I am advocating for transgender girls who
No.
are biological boys, that it is very safe for them to be in a closed stall with a locked door and walls between them, to be in a bathroom with girls. Yes.
I just want to be clear, you are advocating for males to go into female restrooms and locker rooms.
I am advocating for transgender girls, transgender women. That I think that it's safe, and I think that it's fine. If there are not unisex bathrooms available,
So you were saying a male,
a biological
dresses
male.
up like a female, should be allowed to go into a female restroom.
Sometimes when they've started their transition, they look much more like a girl. I think you would feel uncomfortable standing next to that person in a male bathroom.
You don't know me, so you can't. Please don't tell me how I feel.
Well, I
I'm
don't
just
know
asking
how
you
you
a
would
question.
feel, but I think many people would feel uncomfortable standing next to a transgender female in a men's bathroom.
So when you talk about a transition, are you talking about a male who has an X and a Y chromosome? Are you talking about replacing the Y chromosome with an X chromosome?
No, I'm talking about sometimes taking hormones sometimes these people from a very young age, and I don't know if again, I've followed some of these kids from a very young age. Their parents, like as this parent said, this is not something we want for our kids. These are very difficult journeys, and these children often really prefer dressing up, and you think, okay, it's a phase, it's going to pass. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And so when those kids come to puberty, start to feel very distressed, they often have much more anxiety and depression, behavior outbursts, major difficulties with conduct in school. And often when they are allowed to transition, their parents will tell you that was sort of the answer, and the people that, testify on this are very outspoken that this was what really made them feel more comfortable.
When you say transition, they don't actually become female. They are males that...
They have female characteristics,
But
and
they are
they
biological
identify
male.
as, so you're talking about a chromosomal, biological, I'm talking about gender, and that is
And you think gender
that's an
is a social
identification.
you think gender is a social construct.
I think for many people it is.
Where did you go to undergrad?
I went to Brown University.
That's an Ivy League school?
It is.
Did you take some social science classes while you were there?
I did.
Okay, so did you take some linguistic classes? Did you read George Lakoff, Mark Johnson, any books?
I didn't read those two.
They talk about social constructs, like what you're saying, like words are flexible, they don't really mean anything. A boy doesn't mean a boy, a girl doesn't mean a girl, it's just whatever you think it means. And that's what you're saying.
What I'm saying tonight is that I think that girls, if you go in a girl's bathroom right now, there are stalls. They are very private. The doors lock. There is no one stands there and watches anyone else pee. I don't know if the women in this room have ever, but you don't, I mean, that would be very weird. And the only time when you might be standing next to someone would be when you're washing your hands. Usually you don't talk much and you leave.
And do you have children in our schools right now?
I have had 3 children go through the Rock Hill schools.
When did they graduate?
She's 24 now, so
Okay.
2018.
And you, where did you go to medical school?
University of Virginia.
You are here on your own behalf. You're not advocating for Rock Hill schools. Nobody in Rock Hill schools asked you to
No,
come.
I'm here
these are
to
your
advocate
opinions.
for students, for a small, very small population of students. And to me, this is a very individual problem that I feel like administrators, that everyone struggles with. The student struggles with it, the parents struggle with it, the administrators, the teachers. And I think that everyone's doing their best to come, for each individual student, to come to the best decision and to support them in
And the
learning.
girls that are in those bathrooms, they struggle with this too.
I'm sorry?
And the girls that are in the bathrooms struggle with this too.
Right. And I don't know the situation, however, I think that they may feel uncomfortable or discomfort, whereas this other student may feel very unsafe in a boys' bathroom.
So I think that there is a couple of things that we probably should highlight at this point. This is coming out of discussion at the last board meeting, and based on both of our speakers tonight, I don't think that entirely of that communication was watched or viewed, because this communication was brought to us because the single stall situation that has been an accommodation that we have been doing was not amendable in this situation, right? Anytime that you have a rather large group of our students that are communicating to this board that they do not feel safe in their learning environment, it is our obligation to address the issue. That said, at the last board meeting, we did not take any action. We discussed it, and the final outcome was to get legal opinion to see what options we have, because again, our job is to make sure that all students feel safe and secure. I just want to be very clear to say that there were accommodations offered, as has always been, or in the past decade or so within Rock Hill schools. It is not our job to report the number of students that had concerns, but there has been significant numbers. Anybody?
And so my question too is, have we discussed with the student who asked for those accommodations? Have you sat down with that student and their parents?
So that falls under the superintendent and the principal and the administrative team, but it is my understanding, and I can see that Dr. Schmalze is nodding, so yes.
I just want to make sure that you consider that this is not, there's another group of students, and it's a small group of students, but they do struggle, their parents struggle, and I think that we need to care for them as well, so, and attend to their needs, and just keep those in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Edwards. So next up is safety and security update, and that would be Board Member Pete Nosal, Vice Chair.
Does anybody have any questions about policy that I proposed?
I do believe we have not had a response yet from the Attorney General, correct?
Okay.
Talked to one of his deputies today. The Attorney General has teenage daughters. I was told that he stands with us, and I think we just need to go ahead and just pass this policy and be done with it. I mean, we all know it's the right thing. We all know that we had somebody here advocating for males to be in female bathrooms. And we've got to take care of these girls. You don't get a free assault in South Carolina. We have to take care of our daughters. So I think we just need to go ahead and vote and be done.
We do have a policy procedural issue with that because we, per policy, have to seek input between reads. So we can put it up on the agenda for the June meeting,
Okay.
and, but we have to follow our own policies in order for first
Absolutely.
and second read.
That's how does anybody have any questions, anything they want to add?
You said that you had information from the Attorney General.
It was just a phone call, and he has teenage daughters, and he wants his daughters to be safe at school, and he wants his daughters to be able to go into a bathroom with girls and not with boys.
Well, since this is such a big issue,
It's not a big issue for me.
I would like to have the information from the Attorney General and from our attorneys concerning everything before we can make a decision.
Are you advocating for males to go in the female bathrooms?
Right at this point, Mr. Nosal, my personal opinion, I would keep to myself. I just want all the facts first.
I just want to, so you are not, you think that females should be alone in female bathrooms?
We're advocating for all students, so I would like all facts and information first.
That answers my
basically.
question. Anybody have anything else?
We continue to offer a private bathroom for these individuals.
We have, and I think it's my understanding that we continue to do that.
That's correct. Right. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our long list of presentations.